Hey everybody, welcome to the Cardboard Cave. This video is actually not filmed from the cave though because the cave is really cold right now. So this is the above ground headquarters for the Cardboard Cave. Sorry it's been a while since I've had much content, had a lot going on. The cave actually flooded. We had some serious rain 2 days ago. Had another flooding issue unrelated to rainwater from indoor water in the cave like a couple weeks ago. So it's been a little rough. But I wanted to show you all something today. This is Marvel United Spider-Geddon, a new release. So let's go and get into it. I'm going to put you up here so you can see better. All right. This is Marvel United, which is a game that some of you may be familiar with. From Cool Mini or not, it's an easy to get into game that's just real easy to play, but you can keep adding new heroes and new villains and new settings and just really make it morph into whatever you want it to be, sort of. It's a game I've really enjoyed. I don't think you have to be a Marvel nut to enjoy it. I'm, I guess, what you call a casual Marvel fan, in that I'm a Johnny-come-lately. You know, I didn't really know a whole lot about most of the characters in Marvel until the movies started coming out, like a lot of people, I'm sure. And I've enjoyed the movies. You know, I have some favorites. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I've enjoyed most of them and had a lot of fun with them. And the game appealed to me, though, because of how easy it's supposed to be to get into. And but this is not going to be a review of the whole Marvel United system. I wanted to review this because it's brand new. It just came out. It's available. I picked this up from boardlandia.com. You can also get it on Amazon, and I assume it will be available at some other places soon. But those two places have it now. $35 is what it cost. And importantly, you can play Marvel United with just this. It's a standalone game. This is not one of the ones that's just an expansion. This can be a standalone game. For example, it comes with 156 tokens. These are tokens that are used across Marvel United. So it has everything you need to play. Obviously, this one, though, is going to appeal to you if you are a huge fan of the Spider-Verse, basically. So standalone game, $35. You don't have to have anything else to play. The standalone game so far, I believe, unless I'm wrong about this, I believe this is just the third one released so far, because you have the original Marvel United, which had your basic Avengers, basically, but it was pretty slim, but it was inexpensive. You know, had Iron Man, Captain America, and there's two more heroes. Was it Thor? See, I can't even remember because I have so many different ones now. I know the villains, there was Green Goblin. I know Green Goblin was in it. Regardless, I had a few heroes, a couple villains. A real easy place to start, just the original Marvel United. You can still get it cheap. And then they came out with X-Men, which had a lot more going on. Like it was a beefier box. I think that's a great place to start. This is the new one. And of course, they can all mix and match any way you want to. That's what's so great about the system. If you know how to play the game, you can just add in new villains and it really twists it up. You can take any heroes you want on any mission. That's how the game works. You know, if you want to pit Thor and Rocket Raccoon against Anti-Venom in this set, you can do that. Anyways, what does the game come with? Well, you get 6 heroes, which are Scarlet Spider, Penny Parker, Spider-Punk, Silk, Symbiote Spider-Man, and Spider-Man Noir. You get 2 villains, Morlun and Spot, and then you get 2 anti-heroes, Anti-Venom and Superior Spider-Man. The cool thing is, the 2 anti-heroes can also be villains. So really it has 6 heroes and 4 villains, and 2 of those villains can also be used as heroes. So that's pretty cool. So there's more in this box. There's 10 miniatures altogether. There's more in here than in the original. And it's got, you know, the villain dashboards, the locations, it's got all the components, all the pieces you need to play the game. You don't have to own any other set. So let's go and open it up. See if it looks like $35 worth. I don't know that this is necessarily the best starter set. Like the original one is just super easy, super simple to get into. There's nothing extra added. I feel like if you like the X-Men at all, the X-Men set is just excellent. Unfortunately, and I feel like I've mentioned this before, either on the podcast, which I need to do an episode, I'm aware of that, or on here, but a lot of the content, there's a stupid amount of content for Marvel United. And a lot of it you can only get on their Kickstarter when they do a Kickstarter. And they may do another Kickstarter, they may not. So my recommendation is don't drive yourself crazy. Start out with one of the boxes you can buy. This one, the X-Men one, or the original Marvel United. And then there's a few expansions. Like there's a more standard Spider-Man expansion that you can still get everywhere. There's a few other expansions you can get. There's a decent amount of content now you can get without worrying about missing the Kickstarter. And if you'd love it, well, I guess you can always go to the aftermarket, and there's a stupid amount of stuff out there. But you can buy this from Amazon right now, Boardlandia, I'm sure some other places. So being a spider hero has always come not only with great responsibility, but also great danger. Now, with villains converging from all corners of the multiverse to hunt them down, the spider heroes will need to forego their loner ways and band together if they hope to stop evil. They'll travel across dimensions in a desperate struggle to protect the innocent, face down dire threats, and confront these villains once and for all. All right. Yeah, there's a lot more information here, but let's just go and pop her open. Really do love the art on the front. The art in general, Marvel United is great because it is comic looking, it's cartoony looking, but it's also detailed and it's also cool. It's not overly cartoony. Right, a little magazine. Right, actually just a little digital thing. The rule book. We're not going to spend a lot of time on all this. I just want to show you what you get. Here's the complete contents. I love it when they do this so you can check everything. A lot comes in this box because this actually adds a couple of things that are going to be new to the multiverse sets that are coming out soon. This is introducing that. Let's see, spider bots. That's something I've not seen before. Spot tokens. That's unique to the villain Spot. Let's see. 48 master plan cards, 4 villain dashboards, 24 threat cards, 96 hero cards. That's all your standard. There we go. Equipment cards. There's 7 equipment cards. That's something that's been introduced in the new sets. Basically, your heroes can have equipment they carry. Yeah. Anyways, as far as the actual rules, there's 1 page of setup. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Really, all this is just special rules and stuff. So it's about 7 pages of rules. And honestly, the original Marvel United is even less than that. But the equipment card has their own explanation. Additional rules, like if you need more detail about things. There's a super villain mode, which is a special mode. A solo mode. Super villain versus commander solo mode. So just different modes you can play. And then I always love this, a rule summary on the back of the rule book. All right, lots of tokens here. If you've ever played Marvel United, you'll recognize these. But basically got these represent villains on the upper set. Or more henchmen, like goons, that the villains have. And these are innocent civilians. Just different markers were used during the game. Health tracker markers here. A whole other set of tokens here. These are nice quality cardboard tokens. Some spot tokens, that's new. The spider box is new. That's not something that's come in a set before. Just different variety of tokens here. Your different symbols, basically punch. This is wild, movement, And this is like your superhero, represents your heroic ability. Those tokens are something you're spending during the game to take moves. Then everything's nicely packaged in here with this plastic insert over it. You remove that. Of course, if you have as much of this as I do, these boxes really aren't used for very long. I have my miniatures and like tackle boxes. I'm not sure what they technically are. Maybe they're like big jewelry boxes. There's some clear boxes I got off Amazon. We'll save the miniatures for last. Let's see, here we got, well, these are wrapped up, but these are your locations that you go around to play the game. And for example, in this one, it starts with 2 of the heroic tokens, and heroes may discard any number of hero tokens to ignore the same amount of damage as long as you're here at Sim's Tower. At the end of your turn, if you're at Sim's Tower, you can take a hero token from the location or add a token to the location. So it's like a way to go and build up your hero power. Instead of opening these though, let me just see if I can show you an example setup from the rule book. In this particular version of the game, there's 8 locations. 8 locations. And when you're actually playing the game, it looks something like this. You got, they call it the villain dashboard here in the middle, and then the locations surrounding. So your heroes are going from location to location, basically for 1 movement each. And the locations have their own abilities, good and bad. So the locations are very relevant. And it's of course going to be locations from the universe that whatever, if you're playing X-Men, it's going to be X-Men universe locations. You know, this will be basically Spider-Verse locations. You got different piles of tokens. Every player has cards. The actual miniatures will move around. That's your player token, of course, is the miniature, which is one of the fun things about the game, is you don't just have a little wooden token to represent your hero. You have an actual plastic molded miniature of your hero. Then here we have some things. Let's see. The villain dashboard is simply, this is the same in every game. Basically, spot for 3 cards, a place to put whatever the villain is. So like if this was the villain, you know, like for example, this is Superior Spider-Man. And it tells you how much health he starts with. Like if you're only playing with 2, he starts with 4 health. If you're playing with 4 players, he starts with 6 health. It tells you his special rules, different things that happen when he attacks. And that'll go, whatever villain you're playing against will go on the dashboard. The dashboard's the same. The villains are really the beauty of the game. The heroes are great, and they do make the game feel different. But it's the villains that add so much variety. And it's really cool that this set comes with 4 villains. 2 of them are anti-heroes, meaning they're both heroes and villains, but they function as villains. So here, 4 villain dashboards: Spot, Superior Spider-Man, Morlun, and Anti-Venom. So 4 villains, that's cool. And you got, this looks like some equipment cards, a little deck of equipment cards here. Oh, battle plan, I don't know, it's different things. Let's see if I can open these up, just because I think maybe these might be some of the equipment cards. I try not to go through every little thing. Just enough, if you've never heard of the game, to see if you might be interested. And if you have heard of it and you're just specifically waiting for the set, just to give you a taste of what you're going to get. So you got battle plan cards. And then, yeah, there's the equipment as well. So for example, a battle plan. This one says Heroic Leaning. Each supporting hero card with any of the hero symbols on it gives you an extra one. So these are like, they go in what they call the storyline, which is basically a line of cards or a circle of cards around the outside of the locations that you're playing to. I'm not going to explain how the game works, but it's a fun system. You're basically playing to the storyline. Whenever you play a card, it's your turn. You're playing after the last card that was played. And so if your buddy played a card that helps you on your turn, that's a good thing. So you're trying to not be too selfish with your turns and play something other people can build on. So these look like things you add to the storyline to basically make things more powerful. I think those have been in other expansions before, but I've not played with them, so I'm not 100% sure. These, though, are what's new. The equipment cards. For example, mechanical spider arms. Use your hero symbol or punch symbol, then turn this face down. So it's basically a mechanical arm. It does one thing, and then you turn it face down. Then it says on the other side, to recharge it, at the beginning of your turn, discard an action token to turn it back face up. So this represents a mechanical spider arm. It gives you basically one punch or one hero ability, then it cools off until you recharge it. I'll just give you a couple more examples. Web shooters. On your turn, you can move yourself or move a civilian or a thug from an adjacent location to your location, then turn it face down. So you're using your spider web to bring them to you. That's what that represents. To recharge it at the beginning of your turn, discard an action token. They might all work that way. There's web shooters. Wait, is that? So those are the same. All right, so those web shooters are the same. There's two batteries that are the same. So I guess the multiple players can have, or maybe you can have more than one. I'm not sure how this works. Mechanical spider arms, web shooters. So there's not only a few different ones, it looks like. Let's see, where's the manual? 7 equipment cards. So different versions of the game are going to come with different equipment. It looks like this comes with, anyways, a few different ones, but there's more than one of them. So I'm not completely sure how they work. But it looks like there's maybe 3 or 4 different ones, but there's multiples of some of them. Anyways, that's the equipment. Little things you can use in any game. Of course, these are more thematic to these characters, but from what I understand, you can use them with any character. Again, that's the beauty of Marvel United. You can pretty much use anything with anything. Let's see. Let's just go through some of the cards here. Right. So you got your basic cards that are in all the games. So we'll not worry about those. Blah, blah, blah. Let's try to get some of the... There's some super villain cards here. All right, here's some of the actual hero cards, though. Got Superior Spider-Man. And of course, the symbols on here won't mean much if you've not played the game, but they do different things, basically. That's a villain. It's basically showing you if he's going to move. Like in this example, he doesn't move. It shows you what space he targets, what he's going to do. So I said these are hero cards. These are actually villain cards. These are henchmen, like head henchmen that are going to go out on different spaces on the board, make your life more miserable. Here's some Moreland villain cards. Some Spot villain cards. Anti-Venom. All right, so there's the villain cards. What about some hero cards? There's a lot of cards in here. 2 big thick decks. There's 96 hero cards, 48 master plan cards, 24 threat cards, and then of course equipment cards, supervillain cards, some other things. So what is about pretty close to 200 cards in here, something like that. Honestly, for $35, there's no doubt you're getting your money's worth as far as the amount of stuff. Yeah, there's over 200 cards, I would say. Tons of tokens. The location cards here, the big location cards. And then, how many miniatures did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 miniatures. Sorry, trying to get this open just to show you quickly. There we go. So for example, Anti-Venom, we had a villain deck for Anti-Venom, but here is his hero deck as well. Just give you some examples. I love the art in this game. Really cool. Sorry, the lighting up here in the upper part of the cave is not as good. So some hero cards. For Anti-Venom, here's hero cards for Scarlet Spider, which is one of the heroes, of course. Really cool looking stuff. And of course you got, for example, this card is simply a movement. Real simple. That one's simply a punch or attack. I always call it a punch. This is a powerful card, or a more powerful. You know, it's a movement than a heroic action. And they're slightly thematic. You know, he's swinging in this example. So he's swinging and then rescuing someone. That's the idea there. Movement and then heroic action. There's a bit of theme in this game. Actually, more than a bit. Here he is. He can move and then punch. You know. And you can do it in either order. So if you need to punch a thug and then move out of the way, you can do that. Here's 2 heroic actions. A double punch. Here's a wild. Oops. A double wild. But let's look at a couple of the special abilities. So here's a special ability. Scarlet Spider, Great Power. 2 punches. For each thug defeated with this special effect, at the end of your turn, gain a punch token. The punch tokens can be used any time, or even given to another player. So with your 2 punches, if you defeat any thugs, you can gain punch tokens to use later or give to other people. Plus it has a movement on it. The bottom part of the card, if you've never played Marvel United, that's the part that other people can use on their turn. So like if I took my turn and this was the last card I played, and then Anti-Venom took their turn, now they've got 2 movements on their turn. They can't use your special ability, that's only you. But they can use the bottom part. So like let's say, for example, instead of that card, which has a kind of weak bottom part, I played, well, this card. That would be amazing. If I played that card, that's 2 wild actions. And then the Venom player went, they've got 2 wild actions to use, plus theirs, and plus their special ability. So that's how that works. It's called the storyline, and as you add to the storyline, you're helping the next player out. Spider Sense. There's another special card. You get a wild token. As long as this card is face up in the storyline, you can discard any number of wild tokens to ignore the same amount of damage. All right. All right. Let's see here. We got Superior Spider-Man. Show you some of those cards. So he's got something interesting. It says this card has to go on the bottom of the deck. That's interesting. Most of them don't say that. Again, just really enjoy the art in this game quite a bit. So just an example, I'll just read one of these. Spider-Bot Decoys. As long as this card is face up in the storyline, on your turn, you can add a Spider-Bot token, which are these tokens I showed you earlier. You can add a Spider-Bot token to your location, if there are none. Once per villain turn, you can discard a Spider-Bot token to ignore damage. So the Spider-Bot is basically taking the hit for you. Again, stuff like that is what makes this game thematic and cool. So you put one of these blue Spider-Bot tokens out in a place, and whenever the villain hits a hero, whether it's you or a different hero, they don't hit you. They just blow up the Spider-Bot instead. Pretty cool. Right. Here we got Silk. All right. I'm going to leave the rest of these special abilities for you to discover. I'm just showing you some of the artwork. All right. Maybe I'll read one more. There's a movement and a punch. They all have a different variety of symbols that try to be a little bit thematic, I think, with the character. Faster, zippier characters are going to have more movement. Strong characters like Hulk are going to have a lot of punching. Of course, Hulk's not in this set, but you know what I mean. All right. Let's read one more special ability. Silk Sense. As long as this card is face up in the storyline, once per villain turn, if a villain ends their movement on your location, you can immediately move to an adjacent location. And if you do, ignore the first damage you would take that turn. So she's hard to hit. ending your turn on a space with a villain can be very scary, so that's pretty cool. Right. Symbiote Spider-Man. I'll show you some of his cards here. Just try to get out some different ones here instead of showing all of them. Alright, because this video is already going too long, I'm not going to read all the special abilities. That's for you to discover. It's really hard not to. Here's a simple one. Symbiote Enhancement. You can punch twice. If you do, on your next turn, you must sorry. So this card lets you do a movement. That's the bottom ability. You always get that. If you do this top ability, punch twice, which is pretty strong, the next turn you have to play a card randomly. You can't choose your card. So that's interesting. Alright. It's hard not to read those because they are usually pretty interesting. And the cool thing is, if you're having a hard time with the game, you'll learn some heroes are better against some villains than others. Pick those. If you're finding the game too easy, try some odd, quirky heroes against a villain, and it might be a harder match. Here is Penny Parker. Let's read one of her special abilities. Robot Strength. It has a punch ability you can always use, but also a special ability, Punch. Then use a battery to deal an extra damage. So I'm guessing Penny Parker can pick up batteries somehow. Here's another thing that lets you use a battery to rescue an additional civilian. Alright. There's a lot in this for a basic box here. Spider-Man Noir. Pretty cool looking. Spider-Man Noir, one of his special abilities. If there is too much power, attach a target token to a villain in your or an adjacent location. So I'm guessing, yep. And then he has another card that says 2 punches against a villain with a target in your or an adjacent location. So he targets them and then he whams them. Pretty cool. Spider-Punk is awesome looking. Oh, I don't know if I've been showing y'all. Each hero has their own deck that is just yours alone. So the decks all have their own unique backs. So you know that's your deck. They don't get mixed with anybody else's deck. Spider-Punk, here's a few of those cards. Oh, pretty cool. So one of his special abilities, let's see. Search and destroy. Move to any location with a henchman or villain and punch. Plus he has a punch. So basically you can punch him twice. Basically you can warp to any location with a bad guy. Anarchy in Earth 138. Punch up to 3 locations with any civilians. Then discard a civilian from each of those locations. Oh. So he can do some punching all over the place. But he's also taking out some civilians with him. Hence, Anarchy. Alright. So there's some heroes. I did not read every special card, but that gives you some idea. And that just leaves the miniatures, which we need to go through. Right. So again, they have a nice spot in here. Let's go ahead and start with, excuse me. This must be Scarlet Spider, is that right? Okay, Scarlet Spider. Sorry, the lighting in here is disappointing for sure. You're not gonna be able to see all the detail, but needless to say, Marvel United has always come with very cool miniatures. They spend a lot of time designing these. The artist working through and making 3D models. They're high quality. Then we got Penny Parker. It was definitely a cool one. Very cool. Right. Symbiote Spider-Man. Spider-Punk. It was very cool. Looks like he's standing on an amp or a big speaker. His guitar rocking out. Very cool pose. Very cool figure. For some people, this game's going to be worth it just for the figures, but it's a very fun game. That's the important part. Silk. Got a dynamic pose here on a stone, a gravestone. Spider Noir. Very cool, hanging onto a wall, chunk of wall. Of course, people who paint miniatures have an absolute field day with these because there's detail on all sides, as you can see. Then we got two anti-heroes, which could be heroes or villains, which makes them a really good deal. Superior Spider-Man. Looking suitably superior. And Anti-Venom. Then the two straight up villains, Morlun. And like so many of the figures, there's unnecessary detail here. All these flames at the base. Like even the base is detailed on so many of these figures. And the last straight up villain, Spot. Apologize for lighting again. It's just way too cold in the cave right now. There we go. All right. I didn't show you everything. Again, there's 8 locations here. There's a lot of cards we didn't look at. A lot of stuff. Yeah, it's a lot for 35 bucks. And if you like the game, then it's definitely a good deal, I'd say. So yeah, this Marvel United Spider-Geddon. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for checking out the cave. And we'll see you next time. You can expect plenty of that kind of thing if you check out the cave. Plenty of that kind of thing.